We are in conversation with Sanjay Singh sir. He's very experienced. Started well before the Kubernetes era or cloud era picked it up. So over to you, Sanjay sir. Little bit introduction, and then we'll deep dive into the DevOps and other stuff.
Sure. Thank you, Sandeep. Thanks for the opportunity. So to me, I think I have seen this entire industry, especially on the DevOps side and DevSecOps side, on how it has transformed. I started working little over 2 decades ago. In fact, there was nothing called
Mm-hmm.
DevOps during those days. I mean, as DevOps, or I mean, different form of DevOps, I would say, right? It was more of a sysadmin, right? When I started my career, it was primarily to take care of the internet servers, right? And when you say internet servers, different flavors of internet. So started with DNS, then email servers, then web servers. It used to be radius servers,
Okay.
databases like MySQL and a few others. And
Nice.
so that's how I started my career, more into how do we make sure that systems are up and running all the time. And of course, during those days the traffic was extremely low compared to what we see today, right? So the scale was also very, very small, right, compared to
Mm-hmm.
where we are today, right? So to me, as I said, I have seen the transition where it used to be like the co-located sites, or you have your small data centers where you are hosting your services for your customers, to and it used to be like physical servers, like so-called bare metal servers, and very low configuration during those days. To later, it got changed into more of a bare metal, very high-end machines, and then
Mm-hmm.
later it became more of a virtualized setup where you may have just one host, powerful host, and then you have multiple virtual hosts running on top of that. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Later, it got transformed into that, hey, it can even be simplified where you don't need to own the infrastructure, right? Of course, the
Mm-hmm.
co-location also gave you something similar, but then the actual core setup was like you have the physical host, and then you have virtual hosts running on top of that. Then the
Mm-hmm.
transformation came in when the cloud started kicking in, right? Initial days, I think the reactions were like, we don't know whether it is going to work or do not work, right? Whether this
Mm-hmm.
is reality or not. But it slowly picked up when companies realized that I no longer have to manage my own data centers, manage my own servers, but rather I can get servers on rent, right? And for a small duration. And I also have ability to expand my business very quickly if I have a requirement where I see the traffic surge within a minute or so, and I see it's
Mm-hmm.
maybe 10x, 20x as well. I have that ability in the cloud. So cloud started selling is it as a, you have infrastructure available on rent, but then you have a lot of elasticity. You can expand or
Mm-hmm.
contract the infrastructure based on your requirement, and you pay. It is like no pay per use, right? If you are using, say, maybe 10x capacity than the usage, the
Yes, yes.
normal usage hours, then you just pay the 10x only for the duration for which you are using. And a lot
Okay.
of capabilities started building in around that time, where a lot of automation, a lot of service providers, they said that we can take care of that part, right? The security was one of the, I think I would say, people were not very confident that when I go to the cloud, I don't know how secure they are, right? So there also, I think most of the cloud providers, and initial days it was primarily Amazon,
Mm-hmm.
they said you don't have to worry about, right? We will take care of your security as well. We will ensure that any infrastructure that we are giving you on rent, right? You don't have to worry about the basic security part, right? The peripheral system security. Of course, being the owner of the service that you are running on those infrastructure, you are responsible or you are accountable for the security of those. But then basic things were taken care of, and then we started seeing a lot of adoption of the cloud. So this is, and now in fact, moving forward, I mean, what we see that more of a, again, within the cloud you have the serverless techniques. You also have
Yes, yes,
Kubernetes kind of setup where, again, it is even more simplified, right?
yes,
And I
yes,
don't know
exactly.
how it is going to be in next 5, 10 years. I think there is going to be further transformation where the infrastructure becomes more of a commodity. You don't have to even worry about where it is running, how it is running, what's the capacity that it is running at, and all that. All of that is very, very transparent to you, and someone else is taking care of it, and you just pay. It's like no pay per use. model.
Wow, what a journey, sir. I mean, it would have been, I mean, quite a learning,
Yes,
basically. When you started working on bare metal and then machines, hypervisor, virtualization, everything, when teams used to do everything. So I'm not that on the wiser side, but I mean, quite at least have seen these kind of things where we used to play around with these Linux machines, multiple Linux machines on top of a single machine, and virtualization needed to be done, database creation and all. So initially, even we used to think what it could be like using cloud and all those things. And regarding this security apprehensions, basically, so there was a huge debate used to happen. How's the data is going to be secure? How, what are the boundaries between you and other people using the cloud? It used to be like, so cloud has evolved, and now it's a, I mean, how much, must be $1 trillion industry, and n number of, companies built on top of it, basically. So
right.
basically, we never know, I mean, if serverless is going to be the the future, where you don't even have to worry about the underlying infrastructure, and everybody
True,
will just upload their image or artifacts, and then it will run. Cool,
true.
sir. Thank you for the brief introduction and how it started back then, how it was, and how it is evolving. So, the next question is, sir, I mean, earlier it used to be like the Linux team, database team, and server team, mailing team, and all those things. But later, I mean, it felt that people were working in silos, basically. So DevOps were created for that. But a simple question on that: do you think DevOps is only related to tools, or is it basically more on the process, people, and tech, and understanding the whole idea about DevOps, basically?
Yeah, so DevOps is more of a, I would say, the mindset or the culture, right? If I feel that, hey, the way of current way of working is more of a transactional in nature, but as you said, right, earlier it used to be several other teams. I mean, in
Mhm.
typical SDLC, any product company, working on or building a product, right, they would have different teams, like dev team, QA team, then so-called operations team, or people, they call it as DevOps team as well, where everyone is working on their own area, but they do not know each other's area well, right? And dev, as a dev, I'm just writing the code, and someone else is going to check the quality of the code and so on. And similarly, there is someone else who is going to push the code to production, things like that. And that was, I mean, started becoming an issue when, again, we saw a huge transformation as such, even within the SDLC, right? And even if you see from the customer's point of view, with a lot of e-commerce, the applications across the globe, there were requirements that we cannot have, say, monthly release cycle or quarterly release cycle. Rather, if we have an ability where as soon as the code is ready, can it be pushed to production? Or even better, can it be pushed to maybe a limited set of users where I can just validate, and based on the confidence, then I can increase the user
It,
base
it,
on,
it has to be continuous, basically. So that's
right?
why the term
It has to be
came.
continuous, right? So with
Yes.
that thought, the very traditional way of working, where you have so many different teams, then it was like, can we work as a one team, right? Where uh, I may have my own, I may have some responsibility, and someone else
Mhm.
may have some other responsibility, but
Yeah.
overall we are working on one common goal, where ultimately, I'm going to push or ship the code or ship the product to my end users, right?
Yes.
And we
Yes.
may have different roles to play, within that. So that's when I think the overall, the DevOps, where the main theme of that is dev and ops working together, right? You
Yes.
may still
Exactly.
be doing maybe similar thing, but then you're working as a team, right?
Yep.
But then after that, it was like, again, with the goal of, if I want to have ability where I want to push the code to production as and when
Mhm.
I'm ready, that those things started coming in. And then, of course, a lot of new tool set started coming into the market to help
Mhm.
achieve these goals, in my opinion.
Yeah. Exactly.
So
Exactly.
just as a summary, it is not just a set of tools, but it's about the mindset that hey, we need to work together and with a common goal of pushing any change, anything, any new product to the end user in a shortest possible time. And tools can help me. Tools become, in my opinion, more of a how. If my
Yep,
what
yep.
is, I want to ship the code to my end users as and when I'm ready. If
Mhm.
that's the what, how do I do it? Then the tools can help me achieve that, in my opinion.
Exactly. So basically, the thing is that, sir, I mean, DevOps is, I mean, in summary, as you mentioned, is kind of mindset basically, because the
Right,
tools are replaceable, and there are n number of tools in each category. Because you have Jenkins, you have Argo CD, you have Flux CD, you have Circle CI, Bamboo, n number of tools. But it is not necessary to know all these tools. If you know the gist or you know the summary basically, or about the working of a particular tool, or what is the requirement from a particular tool basically, so you would be able to survive or kind of excel if you kind of uh, know those tools really well basically.
right.
So yep, thank you. uh, uh, so how it would be described in a company, kind of a standard enterprise of company. Is there a set of evaluation of particular tools or people or technology? How it evolves from suppose a 10 people company to 10,000 I mean headcount company?
So if I understood your question, when the company is scaling up, right?
Yes,
How do
yes,
you
the
ensure
scale
that you
basically
have
from 0 to 1, 1 to 100, and all
okay?
these.
How do you ensure that you have the right tooling in place? Is that
Yes,
the
yes, yes,
okay?
yes.
Yeah.
Exactly,
So
exactly.
sure. So as I said, I think first you need to define what you're trying to solve for, right? If you're trying to solve for, say, for example, scale, you have too many
Hmm.
people, and that's a business need to have in
Exactly,
the company.
exactly.
You have now, I mean, you were operating at X level and now it is at 10x level. It could be
Yes,
maybe
yes.
your number of users growth on your platform, or your
Hmm.
business has multiplied that way. And of course, you need to
Hmm.
hire people within the company and so on, right?
Yes, yes,
And
exactly.
one, if you have that kind of problem statement identified that, hey, this is what I'm trying to solve for, right? Then the
Hmm.
tool can be your helping hand, not the
Okay.
other not the other way. I mean, a
Oh,
lot of
okay.
people, I feel that they start with tool. I will buy this tool and then I'll figure out how do I force fit into what I'm trying to maybe solve for. Or I do not
Right.
know what this tool is going to solve for. Let me buy this first, or let me get it configured and installed first, and then I'll figure out what problem can it solve. I think that's the wrong strategy, in my opinion. The right strategy is
Hmm.
first you figure out what do you want to solve, and then once you have that clearly identified, then search for tools, right? It is as simple as that. It's not like I have Google available and
Okay.
you find out what I should be searching for. But I
Exactly.
think it should be the other way, that I want to search for this, let me go to Google and help me.
Exactly, exactly. I think the requirement is speaks for itself. I mean, if we create artificial requirement, then we end up spending a lot of money unnecessarily, I think.
Correct, correct.
Exactly. Nice. Thank you, sir. So, what do you think, sir, in the process of creating this DevOps? Basically, the term DevOps by coined to kind of so teams could work actually like teams, not in silos, basically. And but what happens when team grows, or the org grows, basically? So there are n number of teams, I mean, gets created, and there is a single team DevOps. Basically, you can have view-wise DevOps teams, but then I mean, most of the companies it is like only one DevOps team. So it
Right.
is still working in silos, the DevOps team, because they create something, n number of things, toolings, automations, platform, whatever is needed for the rest of the org, the engineering org. But lately, what I have seen is actually there is a lot of drift. I mean, between the engineering team and the DevOps team happens. How would you suggest to, I mean, kind of tackle this, or what is the best way to work in this when the company is scaling to that level and there's a lot of drift?
Sure. So, in my opinion, I think even today, right, in spite of having all the new terms like DevOps and new way of working, still feel that most of the companies, the DevOps team is still doing a lot of operational work, right? And
Okay.
as a result, you create a lot of dependency on this central team, so-called DevOps team, on
Mhm.
almost every operational activities. It could be creation of the infrastructure, it could
Yes.
be maybe deployment of the product, it could be even like maintenance of the product, maintenance of infrastructure, even the patching activities. There are n number of things, right, where you
Yes.
create the dependency on that. Hey, I have DevOps team who is going to take care of you. Now, again, in my opinion, that model is not right. I mean, that strategy is not at all good, where you have dependency on a central team, it could be a small team, and then they are swamped with a lot of these operational requests from so many people. Now, as a requester, you may think, I just place one request, but think about that poor guy, right? Or think about that team where they have
Exactly.
just like one
Exactly.
request, thousands of requests coming into their queue, right?
Yes.
In my
Exactly.
opinion, what should change, and as I said, unfortunately, that this practice is still being followed very, very heavily. Company of
Mhm.
any size, right, where you create unnecessary dependency on the central team. Rather, think about decentralizing those activities. Like, for example, if I, as a dev team, have a dependency on DevOps team
Yes.
to
Yes.
do the infrastructure for me, uh, can DevOps team create that ability where they are making it fully self-serve? As dev, you'll be able to, then you are able to create the infrastructure, right, on your own. Of course, it will be tagged in your name, and anyone can figure out that how much cost it is incurring to the company and things like that, including the requester. But then I think the
Mhm.
model, what I'm recommending is, and that's how in my opinion it should work, is try to reduce, if not avoid, try to reduce the dependency on the DevOps team on day-to-day
Okay.
activity, right? Similarly, for application deployment, if you're going to DevOps team for them to deploy the application, that's not the best use of their time. Rather, if they can help build the pipeline for you, right?
Okay.
And you go to DevOps team only when you're facing a problem with the tool set. For example, if Jenkins is not behaving properly, or
Okay.
you have some issue in your pipeline, right? Maybe it is slow,
Exactly.
or it is some issue. But
Mhm.
reach out to the team for those kind of issues. Not like, hey, can you? I've now developed the application and I've tested it. Can you now come and then deploy the code to production? Not the best thing to do, in my opinion.
Exactly. I think I have lately seen this thing where teams are divided into two sub teams basically, where
Mhm.
one team works on the operational work and then other team work on the capital investment or kind of the innovation, which is the POC implementation and all those things. And that works really well for some companies. And the ideal way of working in DevOps is in current scenario is to kind of DevOps team should create these platforms or where the DevOps developers can build upon and then just automate it and leave it up to them. But that also comes with the lot of questions whether we should have some definitive guardrails on top of these, because if you give flexibility to everyone to spoil n number of things in the cloud or workloads basically, they somebody, I'm not saying I mean exactly some they're gonna do it, but somebody might think of differently and they will do something. So what do you think? I mean, there has to be strict RBAC guardrails, how it should be.
Yeah, so RBAC, the guardrails and accountability, in my opinion, right? That
Exactly.
the one example that I gave, that infrastructure creation process, for example. Suppose you have now decentralized that, where anyone in the company or anyone in the team can go ahead and build the infrastructure for themselves. Now you need to have the guardrails. Again, something very similar to, like, imagine if you have infrastructure as code developed, right?
Yes. Yes.
Very, very similar pipeline what you have for the application code, which is again a
Mhm.
deployment, right, to production.
Mhm.
Similarly, you need to have that pipeline where it is it has ability to do have multiple gating, right? It could be security checks, all those things are taken care of, right? Because if you give it to someone and that guy feels that, oh, okay, now I can use this tool and provision, say for example in this case
N number
infrastructure,
of things.
right? And I do not know how much it is going to cost to the company. I do not know whether it is safe or secure or not, right? Now, if you
Exactly.
have those
Exactly.
guardrails embedded into the pipeline, right, that
Yes. Yes. Yes.
gives basically two things, right? One is for the requester the confidence that even if I make any mistake, the
Mhm.
pipeline is going to take care of it, I don't have to worry about.
Yes.
If the pipeline has given me green signal or if it has delivered something, I can
Hmm.
now blindly use it. Secondly, it gives me visibility that, hey, whatever I am doing, how much it is costing to the company as well. A lot of times you may have heard that, a company decided to move their infrastructure to the cloud, and they suddenly saw a
They
huge
end
surge.
up paying a lot of money.
Because the moment you see the ease, right, that I can now
Yes,
click
yes,
some buttons and the infrastructure is ready. At the same time, you have to think about the cost as well, right? Because everything
yes, yes,
is,
exactly.
has some cost thing associated for sure. So you need to have that visibility, accountability, all the guardrails and all that implemented before you say that, hey, now it is automated, and this particular process or step can be decentralized.
Okay, exactly, sir. Do you think what's your best advice or kind of the thing you really liked while you were leading? I mean, so many. I mean, teams. What was the best thing or advice you used to like, basically, or get implemented in the team?
Yeah, so my advice, throughout, I would say, has been that anything that you're doing and doing it repeatedly, right? Something that you have
Hmm.
done twice in, say, last few weeks, just think about
Hmm.
how you can automate that, right? Because there is no fun doing the same thing again and again, right?
Exactly.
And there are ways to figure out. I mean, imagine you have a ticketing system where people are submitting a request to your queue that, hey, okay, get this thing, can you do it for me? Now if you analyze the ticket for last 3 months, 6 months, that gives you enough data to figure out what kind of repeated work is coming your way, and how can you
Exactly.
minimize those things, how can you decentralize those things as well. Now in this case, again, if you see, your internal customers, which are most cases developers, are happy that they
Developers.
come to you for every minute thing, rather they
Yes,
can
yes.
do it themselves. Second, it saves your time, right? And as I said, there is
Exactly.
no fun doing the same thing again and again, right? Since it saves your time, you can now use that same bandwidth for something else as well, right?
Exactly. I think the summary would be that analyze, automate, deliver, and
Yes,
work on next big thing or kind of innovation. I
right.
know a guy. I mean, very smart, and he's leading a very good team in DevOps. He his motto is actually, sir, automate relentlessly, basically. So kind of works everywhere in every DevOps team. So yes, exactly, sir. The next question would be, sir, around. I mean, since you have seen, I mean the VM era and the hyper. I mean, all those things, and then the cloud, and now the serverless things are coming up. Uh, which could be or would be the few things, could be many things, where you are betting very heavily, or you think they are going to be massive in future, or you have seen things becoming really massive other than cloud and few things. What do you think? Observability or anything?
So, I mean, in my opinion, there are, if you understand the SDLC process, right, the
Yes,
software
yes.
development lifecycle, uh, in my opinion, there are four important pillars. The number
Mhm.
one is development, right, where I, as a developer, I write the code. The second one is, once my code is ready, I need the infrastructure. So, infrastructure is second, where I can deploy my application. The third one is, once the infrastructure is created, I need the pipeline, right,
Mhm.
using which I can deploy the code to production. So third is pipeline. First
Okay.
dev, second infrastructure, third pipeline. The fourth and the last one is, you need to have ability where you can measure your end user experience, right, which is nothing but
Exactly.
observe, right, and not
Exactly.
like now there is a problem and this tool tells me that there is a problem, right? That's by then
Okay.
it is already too late. In my
Yes,
opinion,
yes.
can it give you a trend using which you can analyze that if I do not fix it now, in an hour or so, it will become a problem or it will start
Exactly.
creating
Exactly.
user, right? So out of these four pillars, right, the dev, infrastructure, pipeline, and the observability, the last three pillars are owned by DevOps, if you see, right, in most of the
Exactly.
organizations.
Exactly. Exactly.
So in my opinion, I think even today, if you understand the overall SDLC is very, very operational heavy, right? Has a lot of
Exactly.
dependency on DevOps team, right? So what I think needs to happen, and in my opinion, that's happening slowly already, is that the lot of these things are going to be simplified over a period, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you have a dependency on, as I said again, the central team on remaining three pillars, that's not the right use of their time, right? And why to delay things just because you have dependency, right? So lot of, I think the lot of transition needs to happen in these three areas. The second
Mhm.
part, in my opinion, I mean, again, I'm sharing my view is every company has their own way of defining the DevOps, in my opinion, right? And
Exactly,
as
exactly,
a result, you go and talk to any company, whether it is very legacy setup, old enterprise, or you go to, and talk to even new age companies, people would claim that, hey, I have a DevOps team. But if you go and dig down further, you will realize that a lot of people are still having a lot of operational activities or very, very operations heavy. I think there the transition or the transformation needs to happen where, uh, what I described, that anything that you're doing repeatedly, that has to get fully automated. Similarly, if anyone in the say in the cycle needs any information, they don't need to talk to or go to someone. Rather, with the adoption of maybe more AI capabilities in the system, where I can ask simple question and tool can give me the information in an automated way. I don't have to go and ask somebody, right? For example, if what if I just ask in natural language that give me my application usage pattern in last 3 months, or give me my user experience pattern in last 2 weeks, right? Something like
exactly,
that. It can tell me that in last 1 month, for example, the user experience, say maybe the response time has deteriorated by 5%, right?
exactly,
And
exactly,
now I'll have maybe further questions that, hey, is it more because of some change in the application, or is it like something happened on the infrastructure side? So these kind of things, in my opinion, if we as DevOps team can think about and thinking about the future, that how do I apply some of these capabilities? And you have all the data, by the way. I mean, AI of course needs
exactly,
underlying
exactly,
data, right? So data, you are collecting a lot of these data anyway, right? So thinking about how do I apply that, more of a the AI capability, where with the data in the system, these tools can help me get this information without me talking to someone as such, right? And one level further, that a lot of times, say for example, the user experience, if my user experience is deteriorated for whatever reason, again I have a lot of data coming in, and the tool should be able to figure out what is the probable root cause. And if you know, in my opinion, again, if you know the root cause of the problem, right, you know the solution as well. It could be as simple
exactly,
as
exactly,
the service, right? So
exactly,
I think the sum of these things, where it is manual in nature today, uh, eventually, I don't know how much time it is going to take, but eventually, I think that is going to go away. Where anything operational activities that we do today, that
Mhm.
is going to transform, that is going to be automated, and with AI adoption, I think it's going to be even further simplified.
Exactly. I think that I have learned very important thing. I've been doing DevOps for quite some time, but it didn't click to me that if we consider the SDLC cycle as 100% and 20 divide dev, infra, pipeline, and observability in 25%, 75% is owned by DevOps, which is
Yes.
massive.
Yep.
And still DevOps teams are doing the operational work and considered as a support team somewhere, not exactly in all the orgs, but somewhere support teams and IT ops or ticket ops and all those things. But
Right.
I think it should be more given more due for I mean to the DevOps team.
Yep.
And anyway, so since you have mentioned sir, that AI is going to be massive and how it is going to be uh, impacting all those things, what is the immediate area you think that AI should be really good or already doing the making the headwinds in that area, and it will do massively in those areas? Because I know incident management, RCAs, and incident triage, all those things, observability, it is going to be massive. But what do you think, or if you have to answer in that way, what it could be?
Yeah, so two things that come to my mind. One is how quickly can you detect any your user experience issue, right? And again, by applying AI, since you have a lot of data coming into your platform, a lot of metrics coming into your platform already, right? So
Mm-hmm.
having that ability where the tool is able to, or the AI enabled tool is able to help you detect those things. One
Mm-hmm.
is degradation in experience. It could be
Mm-hmm.
as simple as any anomaly as such, right? The second one is, I think you go and talk to anyone in the industry, um, especially if they are running their service in cloud. The
Mm-hmm.
number one pain point is, especially managing the cloud, is they talk about the cost, right? So I think
Exactly.
that's another area where, again, if you see, DevOps owns that part as well, right? So how do we have, again, more control, more visibility, more accountability, define that, uh, have some kind of correlation with the business, right? If my business is growing at X% and infrastructure
Mm-hmm.
is growing at X plus 10%, that's not the right thing, right? But do you
Exactly.
have the visibility on how it is growing? A lot
Mm-hmm.
of times you may realize that people do not have that visibility, right? So I think
Exactly.
that's another area, in my opinion, that there has to be some correlation with how is your infrastructure cost compared to your business growth.
Basically, you have to define your kind of unit economics compared to the spending you are doing on cloud. Basically.
Yeah,
And I have seen a lot of people doing this thing, and some of the tools which I have seen making these very big announcement and claiming that we are able to do those things. But honestly, I have seen the usage of particular cloud components are below 50%, whereas we are paying huge amount to those SaaS based companies or
yeah,
vendors. So that is, I mean, that is that needs to be kind of streamlined. But
yeah,
observability, I think it seems to be doing really good in AI, because uh, every time you see you get an incident or an alert, you have to juggle between logs, traces, metrics, and a number of places. So if there is a place which can just tell you that, okay, what's going on with my service, what is traces, what traces says, what log says, and the correlation is done. And I have taken some demos as well, and some good companies which they are doing really really well, and DevOps specific LLMs. Have you seen these kind of trends lately?
I've seen, yeah. I mean, a bit off late, I've seen some of the tools. They have some of these capabilities now, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
so, and I see a lot of experiments are happening in this area already. A lot of newer companies have come up, and they are
Mm-hmm.
doing really well, right? I mean, at least the start is, I would say, it's really good, where it gives
Yes,
you
yes.
this level of ability to figure out how's your user experience, right? If there is anything that you can detect in early stage, rather
Mm-hmm.
than, alert comes in after the user is already impacted. And I think with a lot of data coming in to the platform, with newer tools which gives you the time series database, right?
Yeah,
um,
exactly, exactly.
with using that, I think you'll be able to figure out a lot of these trends, right? And you'll be able to detect issues in early stage. So yeah, I agree with you.
It's a kind of predicting the next incident. So I remember in my last team, teams were working on this thing that we have a lot of data, we have done the correlation, let's put it into some function and predict
Mhm.
whether new when and where the next incident is gonna be, basically.
Right,
So
right.
they were able to do it, but not entirely. I'm not sure if that project is still going on, but that was
Okay,
really good. So
okay.
uh, that is the area I'm really interested, because that is going to give a lot of breathing to the DevOps team if they are going to predict all those
Mm.
things. And the uh,
Yeah,
and what would be the actual scenario or ideal scenario, do you think, in the AI? Is it going to be everywhere in DevOps tools like cloud, Kubernetes, observability, pipelines, or it's going to take some time?
yeah. So in my opinion, again, I'm sharing my view. In my
Mhm.
opinion, anything that we are doing, uh, I mean, AI, the whole purpose of, if you think about AI, right, which is
Mhm.
just trying to simplify anything that we are doing manually today, right? Even if
Okay.
you take, say, for example, driving a car, as a
Yes.
driver, there is no fun, right? You know how
Yes.
to
Yes.
drive, and you have done it for past several years.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Now the AI is helping you, take care of that part. That, hey, you don't have to worry
Mhm.
about driving the car. You just give me all the inputs and I'll take care of it, right? In a
Exactly.
way.
Exactly. Mhm.
Similarly, I think AI, even in DevOps, anything that we are doing manually, anything that we have done it n number of times, The AI is going to learn that hey, situation A, you take this action. Situation B, you take this action, right? And
Mm-hmm.
just feed in that information with in a background and of context, and the
Mm.
AI is going to take care of that, right? Now you may be thinking, if AI is going to take care of that, what will I do, right? I think
Exactly, sir.
there is no dearth of the innovation, right? I
Yes,
think
sir.
we as human mind, if you can think about how do I keep innovating something new, right? That I don't think AI can help you, right? AI can help you improve anything that you're doing manually, anything that you're doing repeatedly. AI can take
Mm-hmm.
care of that, but not like what can you think differently, what new things that you can think. I don't think AI can
Exactly.
do, maybe in the future, but based on what I have understood so far,
Mm-hmm.
um, primarily anything that is which is repeating in nature, you want to delegate that to AI. That hey, AI can you do it, and the AI can do it in a better way compared to us.
I think that's the basic difference between AI and AGI. That whatever AI is something which has been going on, or it is fed into, or kind of trained on, and then AGI is something which our mind is, and that is yet to come. So I don't think so that's going to happen. And Sam is, I mean, really waiting on that. And I think few days back he mentioned this. He's ready to, I mean, he spent billions of dollars even if it takes to build AGI. But that's for next time. I think we have spoken for more than half an hour, and I think people want to listen to this much only time.
Sure.
So, as a last question, or kind of a piece of advice you would like to give uh, to new age engineers, interns, or people coming in, and what are the things in DevOps and how they should prepare, or how they should start basically?
Sure. So DevOps, in my opinion, again, it's like empowering people, right?
Mhm.
Empowering especially the dev teams within your company.
Mhm.
So focus on what can be decentralized, right?
Yes,
Something
yes.
that you are doing repeatedly, how that can be decentralized, can be handed over to people, and
Mhm.
so that reduce the number of requests coming your way.
Mhm.
Second one is, I mean, if you think from DevOps perspective, in my opinion, two things that come to my mind. One is the
Mhm.
developer experience. The other one is my end user experience. So,
Yes,
two
yes.
for developer experience, what I spoke about, that whatever work coming my way, if I can analyze that and can figure
Mhm.
out, okay, this can be now automated and can be handed over, right? That way I'm freeing up or creating bandwidth for my own, right? And then the second piece is, how do I improve the user experience, right? User
Mhm.
experience is, first you have to measure it how it is today, right? What
Mhm.
are again the pain points, right? What kind of again the inputs, metrics, traces, right, that I can get and take any action based on that, right? So I think
Exactly.
these two things comes to my mind, again, but again, as I said, a lot of focus on how do I decentralize, how do I move away from doing this, the operational work, and
Exactly.
building capabilities as such.
Do you think the new engineers, or who I mean who are starting, they should know some set of tools or some kind of mindset if they really want to succeed in DevOps?
I
Because
think
you need to
tools,
know some things. Uh,
yeah, so tools again is, I think, that step number two.
okay,
Step number
exactly.
one is, what am I
The
trying
the
to do?
mindset. Okay.
Yes, right. What am I trying to solve for? Once you
Hmm.
have that clarity, then I mean, tools are more of a how part, right? Tools can
Exactly.
help
Exactly.
you achieve that. Not like let
Mhm.
me understand, or let me the get expertise on this tool, and then I'll figure out, and then I can force fit that. Okay, this tool I've learned. Now I have to then find a problem which I can solve. I don't think that.
Okay. I think it's a similar. I mean, knowing the requirement first and then searching the tools for that basically. So it summarized really beautifully. So that we need to know what we really want to do, and what are our really wanted us to do since starting. So that's it, sir. It was really nice and talking to you, and thank you very much for taking this time. And we'll connect again, maybe on other topic. I mean, maybe more specific topic. But till then, see you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sandeep. Take care.
Thank you, sir. Bye.